All right, so welcome guys, RW, results driven. I'm excited for our community, excited for you guys that are here. Tonight, I wanna dive into something that I've been waiting to get to and talk to you guys about, because ultimately when it comes to setting up your business, getting things in perspective on what you're trying to accomplish, you gotta start looking at the story you've been telling yourself. Many of you have been telling yourself a story that either was given to you, one you made up yourself, or one that you decided that because somebody else's life was like that, that would be your life or could be your life too. So now when you look at it from that perspective, now it's a matter of seeing, okay, what do I need to do in order to change my story? So tonight, I want to talk a little bit about creating a new narrative. Getting to a place now to where you start looking at the story you've been telling yourself. What story have you been setting up in your life? I mean, most of us have a something that we say, this is what we think we are, or what we're trying to become. But the real truth is a lot of times we're not near what we really know we should be. And so now it's a matter of pushing you in business and personal and life to make sure now that you're becoming your best, not just who you become, because right now who you become is a cool thing, but my goal is to push you beyond that. Some of the stuff that you're dealing with right now are really minor things. But of course, before I get into the call, I want to talk about, number one, taking notes. And the guys to take notes, I want to make sure you tap in. Those that can, if you're not driving or doing something else, then please do me a favor, take some notes, because I got some good nuggets I want to send out to you on tonight. Also, if you can, and you're in a good place, put your camera on. I love to see your smiling, wonderful face. I love the expressions. Sometimes I see a lot of oohs and ahs, and that's always a good thing. Ask questions. I want you to definitely ask questions. Do me a favor though, use my chat when we're actually in the dialogue or in the just conversation, the monologue that I'm gonna do. And then once we get to the dialogue part, then we'll actually open up the lines to where now you can actually talk. And also, of course, only unmute yourself when called upon. That way we can make sure we flow and get through it. Hopefully some of the stuff I tell you will answer some of your questions. And then when we come to the end portion of it in our group discussion, hopefully we can help each other be even better and get this information. All right, real quick, I want to talk about this week's wins. I'm excited. I've been hearing a lot of good stuff. Matter of fact, there's two people on here that are not on here, but one, she called me, she actually made her and got her first check from Facebook. She actually has been processing, working, and she sent me, and the check was like 300 and something. And she was like, man, RW, you don't even know. I'm sitting there been doing all this stuff and finally got my first check after doing this for so long. But it's only because we actually knuckled down and got focused, and that first check came. So that's one of her wins. And then I had another young lady who actually got an opportunity to finish up a contract that she was working on, and she actually got it finalized. So a lot of stuff going on, a lot of good stuff going on within the group. Those guys aren't here yet, but when they jump on, I'll probably bring their stories out a little bit more. Any other wins, guys? And the reason for the wins is because, once again, a lot of people I talk to, they always focus on what went wrong. You get so focused on everything that happened wrong, bad, to where now you maximize all the bad and you throw out all the good. And I guarantee you there's at least one good thing that's happened to you during this last week. So real quick, I want to open up the lines. Let me hear someone with a week's win. I know Sharia's got a hot one. Come on, Sharia. Come on with it, girl. Come on with it. I know you're ready. You're itching. Uh-oh, any wins? I know you guys got a win out there. Something good happened. Angie, what good happened this week? Something good happened. I know it did.
Yeah, something good happened that I was able to speak to someone who is familiar in what I'm interested in doing, and gave me a lot of good information and pointed me in the right direction, and looking to meet up with that person to push me on and further me on with what I'm looking to do with events.
Beautiful.
So that
Beautiful.
was a win for me.
That is a huge win. I mean, because those connections become invaluable, especially depending on what you're trying to accomplish. And also it helps you get further faster. Right. That's the key, guys. Really, to me, that's what it's all about, getting further faster. All right, good win, good win. Thank you for sharing. Who else got a win out there? I know you got a win. Something good happened this week.
Okay, sorry, RW. The computer kind of went down. That's
Ah,
one thing. I'm hiring. I will be hiring someone to handle the things I don't want to do. I greatly appreciate you teaching me that parable. But this week, exciting news. I could start my move-in Saturday. Buildings last inspection. One cool thing, you guys, that came in this week was one of my designs was my light that I was really excited about. I'm turning on so if you can see here.
oh, wow.
It's my Manny Girl sign. I don't know if you can see it good,
We can see it. That's awesome.
but it's
I said
it's
flashing.
here. And I am excited about this little neon sign. I don't know why. But I cannot wait to hang it up inside that building. But I'm just excited. I'm down on my last inventory list. Last things, the only thing I have left to do is make sure that I have my liability business insurance that I will be getting from the wonderful Williams of WMS. I'm excited about that. You guys quoted me an excellent quote that I will be accepting. So I'm excited about that. But this is just my last week. There's no turning around no more. I can't doubt no more. I gotta have faith. I can't be scared. You know how you be scared a little, like, oh, is they gonna support me or not? Like I have those jitters, but God told me not to worry. I'm in control. You get all your strength through me. You already understand, Sharia, that I am your resource. So just have fun and just coast through, no matter what. So that's where I'm at right now.
Beautiful. Now, how long has this been in the making? How long have you been having this dream about opening this doggone shop?
It's been 10 years.
10 years.
10
Wow.
years. When I was in beauty school, I was a housing commissioner at the same time. So I was doing community work and going to school. But what made me stagnant was I was pregnant at the same time. And 8 months within that pregnancy, I lost that child. So yeah, that was a lot just to get through and to overcome. And then I still had to serve out my term as a housing commissioner. I didn't let that stop me. I didn't let me being in school stop me. So I still completed both of those while grieving a lost child. So when I look back on how God brought me, I'm just really proud of myself.
Wow. A decade later, dream fulfilled. I love it. That is amazing. Beautiful story. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm glad, girl, you are in this group. Who else has got to win? I know, Sean, I know you just jumping into this group, but girl, let me bust you out. What you got? What you got? We got a win that's coming up, going forward. What we got? What we doing?
Well, I'm super, super excited. I'm working on my budget. Great things is happening. I talked to the one of the guys that's over the grants for the center, and he told me that he wants to help me however he can. But all I need is a building, and first the grant is there for the furnishing. It'll be there for the fire marshal and whatever else I need. So that's where I'm at.
Well, done deal. Well, just so you know, I'm working on something big, and I'm working you in the plan. So that's why I want you to jump on. I'm believing within the next 60 days or less, you're gonna be in your dream. There's certain people, guys, just so you know, I wish I could get them to realize the importance of having someone in their corner that wants them to fulfill their dream and is willing to kick them to say, let's get going. Let's make it happen. We've been talking about it long enough. Let's produce some results. And so I know me. I'm all about the results. The other stuff sound good, and yeah, you can get pumped up and feel good about yourself. But the question I'm always going to have is, what are the results? What's being produced? All right, what the numbers look like. Just like we just did a quick scenario with Angie before some of you guys came on, is just dealing with the numbers. What the numbers look like? If the numbers are there, then why folk come? Can't we just jump in there? Today I just wrote a check. Got $2 million worth of shares with a company. One of my guys that owns he's a CEO of a company. He's about to do some big things. And so I was able to get in and get some common stock, $2 million worth, just off of just knowing that I see his work ethic. I see who he is. I see what he's done. And it's a beautiful thing when you start having, whoever thought that Ron Williams would have people that were CEOs that were on the stock exchange that would call them and say, hey, something's about to happen. low key. Low key now, low key. You can't tell everybody this, but low key, something's about to happen. So you need to pick up some shares to go ahead and get yourself at that next level. So it's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. But anyway, all right, guys, that's good. Good. This week's wins is a beautiful thing. Let's move forward. So when it comes to creating a new narrative, we got to ask ourselves, what have we already told ourselves? You know, what perspective are you looking at? Many of you, you're looking at an old perspective of who you used to be, the story you used to tell yourself. You know, I find out for a lot of people, you ever talk to an old player from the Himalaya, they call him, and he always talking about his past and what he used to do, and how he used to have 10 cars and 5 houses, and now he broke, and he wondering, you know, it's like some people live in their past, and their story that they have is of their past. I'm one of those guys that I don't, and this is not good, so I don't know if it's a good thought to let you know tonight, but like I have trophies, plaques, all that stuff, but all that stuff is in a box because I can't live off of yesterday's victories. I do know that I need to celebrate a little bit more of what I've accomplished, but I'm so focused on the next result, realizing that you're only as good. It's almost like a championship team that wins. Once they win, guess what? You start from scratch again. And a lot of times people don't start from scratch again. They end up living in that old story, and then that old story just gets played out to where now you don't even have a new story because you're so stuck in the old story. The old story is, well, I was a single mom raising these kids. That was your old story. Your kid's grown now. You know, it's almost like someone saying, well, I can't get rid of my baby fat. If your baby is 20 years old, you no longer have baby fat, okay? You got to get rid of those stories. Get rid of those stories that you tell yourself that this is why, you know, if I just had a good man with me, or I had a good woman with me, you know, we get to that place where we have to be careful of the stories we keep telling ourselves, because believe it or not, it won't happen until you change your story. You know, well, if I just had this, or if I just had that, you know, and we keep telling ourselves these reasons why we're not doing what we're doing, then now we have to ask ourselves what's really true and what's just a story we're telling ourselves. And not saying that all stories are false. That's not what I'm saying. Some of them are true, but they're maybe not the truth for where you're at right now. I need to get you to the now moment. You were someone that couldn't maybe handle money. Now you're someone that can handle a whole lot of money. You were a person, as soon as you got money, you spent it. But now you're gonna know how to invest and save and get your money set up for the rest of your life and for generations to come. So now stop looking at who you used to be, start focusing on who you are today and now where you're going. One thing I've learned, and I'll say this blue in the face, most people, I believe everyone, but this is just my perspective, you need a therapist to handle your past and a coach to handle your future. In other words, there's some past stuff you need to deal with, those stories that might be really deep. Like Miss Sharia just shared a really deep story with the group. And that's great, because when you can talk about it, I believe the more you talk about a bad situation, the more you can be released from it. There are stories that actually hold people hostage because they're not talking about it, or can't talk about it, or feel they can't. And once again, that's the story. Anybody raised in a house where they said, don't go out this house telling nobody nothing about our family business. And that's where those family secrets got set up and those stories happened, you know? And before you know it, you stuck in same thing now, except now you're grown. And so now everything that's happening with you, you ain't telling nobody. You sitting back with all these great ideas, all these great thoughts, and unfortunately, just you yourself think it's crazy. Well, I might be just crazy. And it's only because the thoughts and dreams and visions are bigger than you. In other words, your real true story is so ginormous that it trips you out and it scares you. Some of you, if you really can be honest, your dream scares you. So to the point to where it's easier to believe the story that you tell yourself why you have not accomplished it. If that's you, just put in my chat, you're walking down my road. You're walking down my road. Only because now we've been telling ourselves this stuff, man. It's a bunch of junk. And unfortunately, until we release that stuff, we can't go into your future. I need you to go into your future. In other words, step into where you know you should be, not where you've currently become to. Because I need to let you know that who you are today will not make it into who you're becoming. Let me say that again. We got to say stuff twice around here. But who you are today is limited to where you're going. You're gonna need more information, you need more money, you need more relationships, you need more things that are gonna help you grow and become better in your next phase, because you used to run the business by yourself. As you guys have heard me scream, you beyond that now. You can't be afraid to hire people. You can't be afraid to get people that can work with you and for you. Some of you, the reason you haven't hired somebody, and this is one of my excuses and one of my stories I told myself, I don't want to be responsible for nobody's life. What if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't this? And before you know it, you're telling yourself that story. Well, I don't want to be one of them people that I call somebody off their job and then this don't work out and then they lose, they don't get their, and before you know it, you keep telling yourself that same story. And so you don't hire anybody. And you don't even hire them part-time. And because fear is frozen you, okay? But that's just your perspective. Real question, what story have you been telling yourself on why you're not living your dreams? What have you been telling yourself to knock you out of position to really live the life that you know you should be living by this point? I was sitting with a guy today and he's about to make 150 million on a deal. 150 million. And it's crazy how we sit back and we just trying to become millionaires. When you got people that are making hundreds of millions of dollars, but because we're not exposed, matter of fact, I got to bring him on one day. I want you guys to meet a couple of my millionaire friends. That way you can start getting yourself to say, I talked to a millionaire, I talked to a CEO of a company that's publicly traded. I'm going to bring those guys in just as guests because I want you to be able to be around the atmosphere and the excitement. To me, there's nothing like sitting around people like that have a different story. And sometimes if you don't have your own story, you need to start borrowing somebody else's story. In the aspect of, like for me, I remember, I'll never forget this, a guy I was with, his story was that every single year, he took his whole family on vacation. I said, I like that story. You know what? I'm gonna incorporate that into what I'm trying to do. And so I did. And now, the last couple of years, I've been able to take my family on vacation. These are stories now that maybe you just need an upgrade in your story because the story you've been telling you has not gotten you to where you know you should be by now, okay? So here's some of the stories I've heard. Now, none of these might be none of you guys, but here's one I'm sacrificing my dreams for my family. Really? That's your story? I'm giving everything. Well, I'm gonna tell you like my son told me one day. I said, yeah, son, I had to really not do some stuff because I wanted you guys to be okay, da, da, da. He said, Dad, why are you trying to make us your scapegoat? That was powerful because realistically, I should have been able to do all the above. But because I limited myself, hearing other people say, well, you can't have it all. Who said that? Is obviously somebody that can't or felt like their story was they couldn't have it all. They had to pick and choose which part of their life was going to be good. Where'd you get that story from? Well, you can't have it all. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Who said that? Starting to the point now to where you're starting to question maybe some of the things that people say. You know me, guys, I'll question everything now. Somebody, well, I'm doing good so far. Were you expecting something bad to happen? What does that mean exactly? In other words, even some of the words that we say, some of the things that we make so common is a story we're telling ourselves, okay? Next story is the timing isn't right, but someday I'm gonna do it. Is that anybody's story on this Zoom on tonight? I'm gonna do it one day, someday. I hate to tell you, but someday ain't a day. There's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday. There's no way that someday is on that calendar, okay? So at some point, you got to lock in and say, notice I told Sean in 60 days. Well, what if it don't happen in 60 days? At least we know that we're working on a time frame. We can't make it a forever dream. Well, at some point I'm gonna do it. At what point? You know, and in other words, what story am I telling myself that I'll never lock down a date? If you're that person that hasn't really locked down a date, an amount, and some specifics, why? Is it because you're afraid of not reaching it? And if that's the case, then how can you achieve it if you don't put it on paper, if you don't know exactly what you're shooting for? You can't grab something that you are not reaching for. Okay? Next thing is, I don't have enough time. Well, my question is, what are you spending your time on? What are you really spending your time on? I mean, really, if you looked at a calendar day, what are you doing and what are you not doing? What are you doing that you shouldn't be doing? If you really thought just today, what did you do today that you shouldn't, you shouldn't have been doing, but you did it anyway? And it killed some time. Did you get on the phone with somebody that you know ain't got nothing to say but gossip? You got on the phone with somebody and was talking about nothing and you had work to do? I mean, it's so much stuff that we can do that kill time. And it's good to have friends, but you guys know how I am about my schedule, making sure that you lock things in to know exactly what you're doing. Maybe your story is, I don't have enough money. You know, I hear that all the time. And I'm like, well, that's an excuse. You actually do have enough resources if you don't have enough money. Because who do you know that has $100? Do you know 20 people that can give you $100? Just that quick, I gave you $2,000. If you don't know 20 people that can give you $100, then obviously you're in the wrong group. You're dealing with some broke people. You gotta step your game. Because, oh yeah, I said it. I ain't scared of y'all. It's just the way you got to get out that broke group. You got to get some folk around you that can write a check or give you some money to do and fulfill your dream. If not, then once again, I got to get you to where now you start looking at, is this story because of the people I'm around? I keep telling myself. Next story, which I used to tell myself, I'm just not smart enough. You know, I'm not smart enough. I just, you know, I need to get more education. You know, we got people that are education junkies. They literally will go from one certificate to another certificate to another. And that's wonderful if what you're doing and learning is going to put you in position to win. But I do know some people that just doing stuff just to do it. It sounded good. And you can't waste your time on things that to me aren't productive or taking you where you want to go. All right. So that story, what stories are we telling ourselves? And then I like this, you know, what is your current BS? And when I say BS, I'm not cussing, I promise. I'm saying your belief system. What are you telling yourself? What is your belief system and what is your perspective on what you're trying to accomplish? You know, a couple of weeks ago, we dealt with this. I dealt with some numbers and some of you were giving me some numbers. I said, that ain't nothing. Why, how come would you have such a low number? And once again, that goes back to your belief system. If you don't believe you're worth $500 an hour, then how can you ever get there? If your belief system is, I can only make so much. If you ask yourself, and I want you guys to think about this, what's the most money you've ever made in a year? And then ask yourself, if I looked at the last 5 years, would that be your average? Or close to it? And if that's the case, then now you have to ask yourself, maybe my belief system is telling me this is what I'm worth. It's got to be, because if it wasn't, you change it. You know, now some people, they might inch up a little bit here, there. My goal is every year 10x. I want to get as much as I can to double, triple what I did the year before. Because to me, if you're in those same numbers, that means you were pretty much probably doing just the same thing, and you went into a maintain mindset instead of a growth mindset. And there's a difference in trying to just maintain than there is to grow and become even more than what you are right now. Okay? So you have to ask yourself, what's my current belief system? What's the BS I'm telling myself about what, in the chat, just tap some of the BS. What kind of BS are you telling? What's your belief system that's been holding you hostage? You know, if you're brave enough, put down the most money you've made. Put that thing on paper and look at it for a minute. And then ask yourself, is that all I'm worth? Is that it? That's how I'm living now? That's what we've come to? Is this the story that we've been constantly telling ourselves? All right. Next thing is how you see yourself versus how you actually are. This is really important for a lot of people because I don't know if you guys, have you ever looked in the mirror and you saw yourself a certain way? But if you looked at a picture of yourself, say 5, 10 years ago, and you look at who you are now, you ever did those comparison pages? And you're looking at your previous and who you are now. And I don't know about you, but I remember there's a point that I blew up a couple of years ago. And in my thought, as I saw the new pictures, I'm like, why ain't nobody tell me? I was telling myself one thing, and I was seeing myself one way, like, oh, it's not that bad. But then when I looked at a comparison of who I was to who I am now, I had to question, like, why didn't nobody tell me? Have you ever thought about that in your finances? Sometimes you can see yourself as I'm okay now. The story I've told myself, as long as I can pay my bills and survive, then man, I'm doing good. And that's your story. And that sounds good to a broke person. And I said it. Yeah, I'm throwing around a lot of words out here tonight. I want to tear up some, I want to make you mad and get to where you start that little word you used to say and get that story out your head. You know, some of that stuff now is really so embedded. You ever lied to yourself so much that you believe your own lie? Okay, I'm just gonna ask. I'm asking for a friend. You know, sometimes we can actually start believing the stories we tell ourselves. Well, my story is that, you know, I just believe that as long as I'm better than my mama them, you know, as long as I'm better than my daddy them, then I've survived. I've done what I was supposed to do. You know, my story is you just got to be better than your parents. You know, my parents, you know, they made $30,000 a year and they bought their house paid for in the hood. And man, long as I can get me a little house and make about $40,000, $50,000 a year, that I beat my parents. I did my job because that's what I'm supposed to do. And unfortunately, that can become your story. And some of you surpassed your parents a long time ago. Not that that's a bad thing, it's a good thing. It's just that you need to go beyond that, because for who are you raising the bar for in this next generation? In other words, who are you raising the bar for? Or in other words, where is going to be that level to where now you're going to have other people attain to because of you? You know, is your bar, well, we're going to talk about stuff, but they aren't going to do nothing about it. And we're going to keep talking and talking and talking and talking. And eventually, someday, we're going to become that. But really, it's just a story. And that story actually can be an untruth because you don't really become what you know you should be. Okay? So just ask yourself, how do you see yourself? Really, I'm serious. I mean, take an old pic if you can. And I'm not just talking about, wait, please, guys, I'm not talking about health. That's not where I'm going with this. I'm actually talking about just, do you see yourself as being okay financially to the point that you've actually been okay with being broke? Seriously. I mean, is it okay now that you just have $5 in the bank? I sit down with a client and I said, well, how much do you have in the savings account? Oh, I got about $100. I'm excited. I said, really? That's exciting? So let's do some math. You've been working for 15, 20 years. In that 15, 20 years, you've made all this money. But in your account, we see $100. You see yourself like, I'm doing okay, but are you really? I know this is hard tonight. Guys, the sign says results driven. It doesn't say results wanted. It doesn't say results wanted. Well, I want some results. Well, you have to get another coach. I'm going to show you how to get the things that we're talking about. Matter of fact, some of these people on this call tonight, those are going to be watching later, they're going to be able to testify to the fact that I started at this level. After working with me for a little bit, I'm at a whole nother level. You know, I thank God that we got these success stories that are coming up. I mean, you start looking at all the stuff that people are doing and really seeing now the benefits of working with a coach. Okay, so we want to see it in a different light. All right, I want you to see yourself in a different light. So now the thing is, change your story. In other words, the old story you told yourself is not who you are. How do you change the story now to become who you know you should be. In other words, how do I take that old mindset, and that's really what it is, that I should just be okay with certain things? How many can truthfully say that you lowered your standard to make people happy? If that's you, just put in the chat, I've lowered my standards to make other people feel good about themselves. Because a lot of times we will literally get these stories and we'll stay within those stories because you're afraid to lose people. Well, if I start really doing something, then now, and here's the kicker, is because you be around them talking about bougie people. And then because you talk about them, you can't become one because you see it as not being good. Think about that for a minute. Oh, look at them. They think they so bougie. They just, now they can't just go anywhere. They can't, and that's the friends that are upset about you moving forward. And so what they do is they start now downplaying. And the sad thing is you were one of them. And so once again, that was the story. The story was, well, you know, shucks, a good meal at McDonald's, we rolling. A good day out shopping is Ross. You know, what, huh? Really? Is that the story? That's the story we tell each other now? I get my real bargains from Ross. Well, why can't you put a name in Marcus? I mean, let's change the story. At least go in there and buy some windshield wiper blades or something. I mean, drive by, do something. I mean, I don't just go to them bougie restaurants. Why not? At least go buy a salad. Elevate your game, change the story, change your outlook, change where you're going. Guys, I'm telling you, this stuff is going to sound crazy to people that like being stuck. But some of you need to find some next level stuff so you can start changing your story. Well, I don't know why I'm here. Order some water and bread. You know what? That bread tastes good. Let me just get another order of that bread. Or better yet, go there and just order appetizer. Just get in the atmosphere. Get around some money. When's the last time? No, seriously. I want you to ask yourself, when's the last time you've been around some rich folks and you felt comfortable? Well, maybe you're uncomfortable because of your story. Your story says, you know, like I was sitting with my buddy today who told me about, yeah, you know, I'm about to make 150 million. I'm like, oh man, that's amazing. Bah, 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 bah. But it was just like, it was nothing as a conversation. Now for somebody else, it's like, oh, here he is bragging about the money he's making. It's like, no, brother, you just elevated my game. I'm thinking too small. You know, guys, get around people that make you uncomfortable only because they're doing bigger things. Stop judging your friends by people that like what you like. That's the only reason and way that you're going to change your story. If you're around a bunch of folk that's struggling, and maybe you're doing a little bit better than them, then you're in the wrong group. You got to change your story. You know, I mean, some of you, well, you know, I don't really hang out like that. You know, RW, I like to stay home. That's fine. But at some point, you're going to have to go out the house and get around a different crowd and group of people. Some of you, I've even been fussing with you a little bit about even how you dress and your attire when you're out in them streets. You know, you got to step your game up. If you are a CEO, that's right. Remember BAPS? CEO. Anyway, if you're a CEO, then I need you to start looking like one, dressing like one. If you're just throwing something on, going to work every day, that lets me know, number one, you really don't care about what you're doing. You tired of it. It ain't a part of your vision, and you're just suffering through it. You know, I'm gonna challenge you. Whatever you're doing, I need you to put your best face on before you go out in them streets. Because every time you walk out them doors, you don't know when opportunity is gonna hit. Some of you, let me clown on you real quick. You stop wearing makeup. You just go out there all natural. I get it. I get it. I get it. And the way you see yourself and your old story was like, well, you know, I'm just gonna be me. Well, you broke. So at some point, there has to be a new you to get new things and to draw new friends and new people that's gonna talk to you that maybe wouldn't have talked to you when you had yourself. You know how y'all do. You know, even some of my men that I'm mentoring, you know, they're cutting their hair, they're doing all kind of stuff. They're like, well, I'm telling them, I'm like, look, step your game up. You know, is fashion worth your money? I'm just saying. Get at some point to where if you hear me, guys that are watching me tonight, I don't care if you're watching tomorrow, next week, next year, step your game up to change your story. You're a CEO, whatever you're doing. When you walk in the door, it should be like, bam, that's the boss. I ain't the boss. Well, you are the boss because you are your business and your business is you. So everywhere you go, represent your business. If you're a fashion designer, Angie, then you should be fashioned out every day. You should walk in the door like, bam, I got my stuff together. I got my Crisco on, everything. I mean, just working it out to where now you step in there like, oh, okay, I see you. I see you. But if you're just casual with your life, then now you're living your life by default and not design. I need you to change the story. And in order you're going to change your story is from the inside out. Okay? Now, with that being said, who are you really? Really? Who are you really? Because I do know this, you are not who you have become. I know that might be like, well, no, I'm good, I'm okay. If you're not living in your dream, that's not who you really are. You're living a false facade of someone else. In other words, you're not being true to who you really are. Some of you are really truthfully a boss. I need you to start acting like a boss, dressing like a boss, talking like a boss, hanging out where bosses hang out at. Get to a place that you start now putting yourself, well, ain't nobody trying to hear me right now. I don't care about everybody else. It's all about what you're trying to accomplish. Because who you really are, it has to shine through who you used to be. You want people to start looking at you different, then you got to start acting and telling yourself a different story. In other words, guys, create a new narrative. Ask yourself, what stories do I need to get rid of? You know, you've already talked enough about what you came from and what I used to do, and all that sounds good. I'm with it, but I kind of get rid of those old stories because those old stories don't serve me to become who I'm trying to be. In other words, who I was yesterday was good. But as I tell you guys often, I'm chasing the next best version of myself daily. So that means every single day I strive to be better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. But in order to get there, you have to step your game all the way up. So this is going to be a hard statement, but I need you to hear me on this. If who you were today was working, you would already be who you should be. So that means that now you have to change the narrative. Because who you are now, you cool. People like you. They're good with it. They're good with you. You good with you. That's cool. But my thought is, and since I can say this maybe with this group in particular, is who did God say you were? Who did your creator say you were? Did your creator say that he just did these things and brought you about so you can just survive? Or is it bigger than that? Do you have a longing within you that's saying that there's more? And if you do, what story has kept you from really going after that? What have you been telling yourself? All right. I slapped you around long enough. Let's have a little conversation around all this information. So real quick, I'm gonna start from the top of my screen. I know Angie, I know you just jumping on here, it's your second shot out the door, but it's interactive. To me, it does us no good for me to give you this information, but you have to take something that can actually help you shift just a little bit. So Angie, what'd you hear tonight that just kind of rocks you a little bit? Uh-oh, well, I think I hear Robbie, but I don't hear Angie. Angie, go ahead, Angie.
I heard a lot that made me really think about what have I been saying to myself and who I really want to be and where I really want to go. So, I mean, I wrote notes. I wrote down things of what you were saying. And I guess what really resonated is what's the BS I've been telling myself. That was the one that really that run true. So and I wrote down the things that I have been saying to myself. That
are you comfortable enough to share just one?
I mean, there was two. I'll do it tomorrow, and I don't have enough money. Those are the things I have been saying to myself a lot.
Wow.
So, and the fact that I can admit, just like I mean, Robbie is my friend. She was the one who turned me on to this, and we have been friends for 23 years now. And I resonate a lot of things that she says that that are very encouraging. And it's with her, I feel comfortable. And even now, I just feel comfortable admitting to people, because they'll say, a lot of people will say, oh my God, you're so good at this, you're so good at that. And they see things that I don't see. And what I finally realized is that I'm afraid. And I think I can just honestly say, yeah, I'm afraid to be the person that I really know I can be. I'm afraid to be the business person that I really know I can be. And so that plays along with me just stepping out on faith, stepping out there on faith to actually to do it, you know. So that's what I heard. What's the BS that I've been telling myself?
Wow, that's good. Now, how do you change that story? What's one thing you can do? It can be small, it can be tiny, it can be minute, but what's one thing you can do to change some of that story? Just one little thing.
That man, I do have the money. It's not that I don't want to say I do have the money. I do make money. I do make money. It's just how I need to change that story. It's not saying I don't have the money. It's how am I managing the money? How am I managing? How do I need to change, you know, to make me manage better and to start shifting things so I can have a better outlook of what I want to do.
Wow, that's good. That's good. I appreciate you sharing. I think that's
you know, it's easy to say it, but it's, you know, sometimes that plays into my I'll do it tomorrow, because it's easy to say it. And I know that I am a great planner. I can just outright say that. You know, I can sit with anybody and straight plan their shit out and be like, here it is, and it's gonna work. I'm that confident in what I do there, but it's just that fear will make me say, oh, you know, for myself, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it another day. So
that's good. That's heavy. And really, it's just a story that you've told yourself, but now that you actually can admit to that story, now you can deal with it. And that's the blessing of this group, I believe, is once you now can open up and talk about it. Because the one thing about stories is that they're hidden, or the ones you're telling yourself and you don't actually hear them. Sometimes you got to speak stuff out your mouth. I don't know if you've ever done this, guys, but if you stop and really listen to yourself, you'll find out that, man, I'm really tripping. I am like really tripping.
Yeah, that is true. That's true, because with the event that we have coming up this weekend, I told Robbie, I was like, oh girl, the goal is $650. And then 2 days later, I came back and I said, well, I was tripping. I was like, $650? And she was like, yeah, right. And I was like, okay, we gotta step that game up. We gotta step that up. So, you know, yeah, you do hear the stuff you say and be like, okay. So
makes a big difference. Well, awesome. Thanks for sharing. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Sharia, Miss Many Girls by Sharia. What did you get tonight? What nugget did you get tonight?
Thanks for asking, RW. The nugget I took tonight was someday is not a day. That is so profound because it's easy to procrastinate. As the sister said, just learning to step out in faith and not be scared and not let your past story become your new story. Because if you're not mindful of it, it's real easy to let those stories to become reality, you know. you allow people thought process and what they say about you, you will start believing that if you have a weak faith system. And I could be guilty of that, trying not to be in the past, being told you're gonna be like your mama, you're gonna be like your daddy, when you have parents that you feel is not so successful, and you're trying to have those dreams to just be better, but not to be better than them to prove you're better than them, but to really uplift a generation. It could be kind of difficult. So, just that someday is not a day. So we can't have that in our vocabulary, because someday ain't gonna never come, because there's no existence of a someday. So I just thought, that was very profound what you have said.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing. That's good. That's good stuff. Good. All right, Sean. Yeah, I know I dragged you in here tonight, but once again, I promise it's good to be around people, especially for where you're getting ready to go, that's going to help push you and make you maybe put some new thoughts in. But anyway, what did you get on tonight, Sean? What did you get?
First, it was so amazing. I enjoyed everything I've heard from everybody. For me, it is paying attention to the story I tell myself, and being careful about the stories others try to give me. That is not my story. So for me, that is what stood out the most, is because I look at myself and I'm used to telling myself about the old story, but just recently, since we've been on the whole faith, and I've changed that, and I've been working on that daily. So now I speak life to my future, and I'm careful now of what I say, and making sure that I speak and envision what I want my future to be. So I'll say, I see myself in my daycare, and I see the rooms, and I see the kids playing. And so I'm speaking like that, and seeing it before I see it. And so changing my story. I just started working on my credit score to raise it higher than what it is. So I'm working on changing my story in that area as well. So this is all good, and I feel like I know I need this. So thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, I believe that there's a lot of power with on this Zoom, and even those that will be watching later, that once again, you just need that extra little, and also be around people that actually can relate to what you're going through, especially when you're in this growth process. Because right now, I believe everyone, including myself, we want to grow, we want to be better. But in order to do that, you got to get around people that are growing and talking about it, and that's a beautiful thing. Like my guy I was talking to today, he told, I had my son there with me. It's a blessing when you can start bringing your kids. I'm purposely and intentionally connecting my son with my network. And so that way now the people I know, he knows, because he is my legacy. He's definitely gonna be my money, all that. And so because of that, now I have to do certain things to bring the other people to the next level. Are you following me? If you guys start opening real doors because you change your story, imagine how much easier you can make it for the next generation. And when I say easier, meaning that at least they don't have to fight through the same stuff you fought through. I'm talking about giving them stuff. I'm talking about actually putting them in position to where they can actually win. My dad, rest his soul, he gave me a handshake and said, good luck. And that was my story. But I made a decision that I was going to change that story for my sons. I was going to make sure that each one of them got a house. They all got cars, and me being able to put them in position to win early. Matter of fact, I've accomplished that goal out of two of my three sons. I've helped them buy their first home. And so that was one of my story changes that I wanted to have. Instead of kicking my kids out with nothing, I wanted to kick them out with the keys to their own place. You know what I'm saying? And so with that, the story had to change though for me. I couldn't go off that story that, well, this is what happened to me, so this is what you're gonna do. I don't know if you guys have heard that story before. Have you heard that story before? Well, this is how I had to do it, so you're gonna have to do it the same way. Why? Why make them go and relive your story? Why can't they have a better story? That's good stuff. Thank you so much for sharing, Sean. I appreciate you being on tonight. Robbie, what'd you get on tonight? Miss Robina.
What's up, mister?
What's going on?
If I had to get something tonight, it would probably be like you said, sometimes dimming your light to make other people feel comfortable. I used to do that a lot because I didn't want people to feel like that I thought I was better than them. You know what I mean? And now I realize that's not what it is. It's like, I'm not better than you, but I'm different than you are.
Yes.
So because I'm different doesn't make me better, but but it sort of does. But yeah, so just knowing that I don't have to dim my light. I don't have to come down to come up. I need to make people come up.
That's good. And I think one thing about that is now you force people to come up a standard. To me, you should be the one that brings people up to a new standard. And most of you guys already know this, but like your kids, you know, they're going to see what they see from you. And so if you want them to do better, you have to do better. And then now they'll catch on to what you're doing. You know, if your kids are afraid and fearful of things, it might be because you're afraid and fearful of things. And now they've taken on your story. You know, anybody on here, you were afraid of spiders or whatever, and your kids now are terrified of spiders, is because you gave them that story. Hey, the story is spiders are bad. And before you know it, they are afraid of something that you're afraid of because you gave them that story. All right, that's good stuff right there, guys. Well, may I tell you what? Marquella, I think you're on. Marquella, what'd you get on tonight? Give me a nugget.
Step your game up.
Step your game up. I like that. I like that. Putting it in perspective now to where you have to now shift yourself to become what you know you should be and not lay back on who you've become. Because who you become is cool, but who you want to be is a whole nother level. So great. Thank you so much for sharing, Marquella. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Alan, what'd you get? I know you were outside. I think you're getting out a little bit.
Well, what I get was the story that you show other people, like that. The story usually we don't see is that sometimes we say that we're not worth it or you ain't nothing, so we be complacent because we already are in our own story because we don't know the full story.
That's good. That's good. So now it just have to change that story once again, change that to where it becomes what you want to be. And sometimes in order to change the story, you got to change your environment, change your looks, your thoughts. I mean, all those things play a big factor. So that's good. That's good. Even though we say it don't matter, it does matter. You know, when I step out my house in a suit, I feel a whole lot different than when I step out in a pair of jeans. It's just depending on what makes you click to get to that next mindset of who you need to be. Because remember, if you're a CEO, then to me, be the part before you become the part if you're not there yet. Okay, so good stuff. Thank you so much for sharing, Alan. I appreciate that, man. And Miss Gloria, I know I saw you on here. I saw you dodging it out. I don't know how much you got. Did you get a little something tonight?
I'm sorry, my kept getting dropped, so I in between the drops, I got pretty much just as you said, becoming the best version of yourself and not settling for less or falling short of that because of fear or whether you don't feel like you're good enough. But know who you are, who God called you to be, and passion.
Oh, she must have went back out. She might be rolling. All right. Well, that's good stuff. Our good stuff, guys. So I appreciate you guys on tonight. You guys are amazing. Of course, just want to always let you know that we're here and we want to be a part of what you're doing. You know, a lot of guys have asked me, so why do I need a performance coach? Because ultimately, in order to perform, you need people around you that are going to help you. Is there any professional athlete that you know that doesn't have a coach? Even though they got skill, they got talent, they got everything they need, why is it that they need a coach? A lot of times it's because they need someone to push them past their current potential. Because I'm finding out more and more that skill alone is not good enough. You need other people around you that's going to find other areas that you might not see and maybe even push you to look at things from another perspective, okay? So me being a performance coach is a little different than a lot of coaches because I don't want to pump you up and not push you forward. And so we want to pump you up and push you forward and make sure that you realize that the only way you're going to change is to change. Okay. So we want to make sure we put that in the atmosphere. Accountability also within this group, being a part of this group, I believe it helps. And I'm hearing more and more is helping people close the gap between what they want to do and actually getting the results they should be getting. Like right now, I'm gonna mess with Angie because I'm expecting her to set this event date. This event date should be set up. I need to get that date locked in. Matter of fact, I'm gonna speak it within the next 6 to 8 weeks. I need an event that you put together that you're working toward. Well, I don't got the money, figure it out. You need to make it happen within the next 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, I don't know, but maybe another 5, 10 grand in your pocket could change your life a little bit from one event. So now if that could happen, I need you to focus on what it can do and not what could go wrong. But what if this don't happen? What if that don't happen? You can't change that. Focus on what you need to be doing. And because really, how many events a year, Angie, and I'm messing with you, would you need to have in order to replace your income? If you made at least 10 to 15,000 per event.
How many events that I host or how many events that I participate in?
I'm talking about hosting. Forget that. We ain't participating. We hosting.
I want to participate.
That's easier.
I want to host them and participate. But
All right.
I would say if I hosted 2 a year, that would be great. But the way I'm planning to initiate myself is to host one big one next year, which will actually, my mindset is thinking that it will become an annual event in each year, growing with participation and growing with the things that will be there as far as entertainment wise, the whole atmosphere of it, that it will become an annual event. That's what I would like for it to be.
All right, well, let's get with every 6-month event. Let's get to where we get that ball rolling. Because if not, we'll put it off. No, this year you need to do an event. There's no next year. I don't care if you got to take that $50,000 mind and put it down to 2,000. But there's got to be something that happens because that first little oomph will push you to those next things. I get it, but you can't. What it is? You're batting for 1,000. It's like as soon as I do it, I'm gonna hit a home run. Pow! No. Let's go through a few maybe strikeouts.
I've seen them in 3 different events already this year.
Okay, that's cool. But did they make you 15,000?
No, they don't.
Oh, okay.
It will help me business-wise as far as getting my brand out there. And
your brand is already out there. We know who you are.
No.
Sounds like a story. Come on with the story. Come on with that story again. Sounds like that same story. Well, I gotta put my brand, I gotta put my name out there. Well, how long have you been telling yourself this story? I'm just
nobody knows it. I have to participate.
Oh, here we go. Anyways, all right, I'm gonna work with you some more, girl. I need some more time with Angie. With accountability, don't do it alone. Guys, don't do it alone. You don't have to live life alone. You have to do your business alone. We are here. We got you. We're going to push you. We're going to help you. And not only are we going to talk about it, but we're actually going to be about it. So we're going to help you out with the insurance for your events, your different things, investments, home buying, mortgages, estate planning, setting up your LLC, taxes, bookkeeping. I mean, the good news is you're actually in a place to where now we don't just, once again, talk about helping you, but we can actually help you and push you and guide you into the right direction, okay? Do want to let you know, lock your calendar down, please. On Saturday, April 30th at 9:30 a.m., I'm going to be hosting a tax strategies class for small businesses. And what I want to teach you in that class is how to live and put yourself in position as a business owner to purchase properties, build business credit, to put yourself in such a position now to where you know what you should be claiming every year, not be claiming, what write-offs are write-offs. I mean, do you know that if you got a G-Wagon, that because it's over 6,000 pounds, you can write the whole vehicle off? Did you know if you have an Apple Watch and you use it towards your business, you can write the Apple Watch off? I mean, there's so many things out there. There's over 100 different ways to do write-offs of things that you use every single day. But if you don't know about it, how can you do it? And also knowing what you should write off, what you shouldn't write off. Understanding how it all works and comes together, because I promise you, The one group of people that can shut you down is the I to the R to the S, okay? And so let's show you legally, I did say legally, how to set up your tax and bookkeeping to where now you put yourself, because where you start, I promise you it'll be better. You know, a lot of you guys haven't been keeping track really of all your expenses, all the things that you're doing, and not realizing that, and not actually taking full advantage of that which you have, okay? So just throwing it out there, something that you might want to consider. And of course, value exchange. Tonight, I believe, and hopefully we gave you some value, okay? Now with that value, that means that it's not bad to expect value back. Now, the weekly group coaching call, of course, for the month is $99. Some of you, I am inviting you to come in and just try me out, because I promise you within a month, you're going to see some different results just hanging out with me. Only because I'm going to push you, I'm going to prod you, I'm going to make you mad a couple times. If you don't got a coach that's at least pissing you off at least once a month, then you don't got a real coach. You got somebody that's pacifying you and placating you and making you feel good about the results you ain't getting. We don't want that around here. I want to see numbers. I want to see you doing the things that you're talking about. I need you to actually, Sean is going to be open. I'm telling you, Sean is going to be opening her daycare within the next 60 days. We're going to all be there celebrating her. We got my girl Sharia. She's opening up her business after 10 years of thinking about it. Boom, now her door is about to be open. We got Miss Robbie, who left a job with a pension to go after and pursue her purpose and her dream. Are you kidding me, guys? We got too many witnesses on this doggone, just this small little thing that we own right now. And the people are going to be watching that have now changed and transformed their life after hanging out with RW, okay? So not to toot my own horn, but hey, I couldn't be a results-driven coach if I didn't show you results. Okay? So if you don't, I think there's a great man that said it like this: if you don't believe me for what I say, believe me for my work's sake. Look, talk to my people. I challenge you and see where they're at, where they were, and what they're doing differently now, okay? So the question is not, can you afford it? The question is, how can you not afford to take your life to another level? Are you worth the opportunity to grow? I believe you are, okay? When you're ready to really take this thing to the next level, then you can hire me as your own individual coach. And I know some of you, as your businesses are developing, I got people right now that are writing me into their business plan, only because they realize that they need someone that's going to weekly guide them to where they need to be. All right. So don't be afraid to step to that next level. It's something that I believe that the more and more levels you want to go to, the more and more you have to pour into yourself. Because if you take care of you, I promise you will be able to take care of all the people that are important to you. All right. But that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, guys, you guys enjoy the rest of your night. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Definitely check us out next Thursday. We look forward to it. But please mark your calendars, April 30th. 9:30 a.m. You do, I promise you don't want to, it's going to be a game changer. I'm going to teach you some things in that class that you probably have never heard about. And the good news is I actually have an enrolled tax IRS agent that's going to be there to back me up. Because, you know, some stuff that they don't want to talk about, I ain't scared. I won't talk about it. How do we get this money right and make sure your taxes are right? Make sure you're able to do things that other people have been doing for years, but we didn't have privy to. But now on April 30th, I'm about to open up the floodgates. Do me a favor, invite your friends, invite your family, anyone that has a business, come out, be a part. Matter of fact, on next week, I'm gonna open up for Family and Friends Day. So I want you to invite your family and your friends, send them the text, the Zoom link, and tell them that you're offering them an opportunity to be a part of something that's gonna change their life. And I guarantee you they'll thank you for it later. All right, you guys have a good night. God bless you. I love you. I'll see you again soon. Enjoy your week, okay? Bye-bye.